All right, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Desk here on Herbie Sports Radio on StreamYard. It's 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It's finally football week for everybody. We finally made it after a long, long summer, spring of this whole pandemic. We finally made it to the week of football coming up, here in the state of Maryland. On Labor Day night, we got BYU traveling from all the way from Utah, coming to Annapolis, Maryland, to take on Navy in their third ever meeting, and it's actually a primetime game on ESPN with the folks from College Game Day. So we're going to bring in Greg Woodell with us, who is the voice of the Cougars. So, Greg, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for the short notice. Thanks for making some time for us this evening.
No, it's my pleasure.
Well, talk about this whole game coming up. Sitting back in April, May, and June, we're trying to figure out if we're going to have football, and we're on the doorstep of happily might have a football game on Monday.
Yeah, when training camp began for BYU back in the first week of August, the Cougars didn't have a season opening opponent yet. They were supposed to open with Utah tomorrow night, as it turned out. Of course, all of BYU's P5 games went away, and there were 6 of them. There were 6 P5s on the BYU schedule this year out of 11 FBS games in total. Lost them all, and then other games began dropping off. And when camp started, I think BYU had 2 games on the schedule, and they kind of had to build from scratch. And it was a few days into camp when the Navy game got done. That came together really quickly, by the way. So they started practice not knowing who they play. Now they know they've got Navy, and not only Navy, they get Army 12 days after that. So it's back-to-back triple option teams to open the season. If you have to play option and do it twice in a year, I guess it is best to get them back-to-back so the tactics are fresh in mind. But going to service academies, reuniting with Navy for the first time in 31 years, the fact that you have 2 Polynesian head coaches going head-to-head for the first time, a lot of cool storylines. Plus, it's Monday Night Football, the only game to see, the big stage on ESPN. All these things make it a great matchup.
Yeah, you said the first time since 1989 that BYU had to travel to Navy, and some guy named Ty Detmer was the quarterback who basically did okay in the NFL, but he was best basically no more as a college quarterback, but he did fine with the Eagles and Redskins and whatever. I think he was still playing last year, right?
Well, not quite, but he lasted a good long time. He fashioned a pretty nice career out of it. In fact, if you look up Ty's NFL numbers, he probably threw for more yards than people thought he did. But yeah, he made his name as a college quarterback. He won the Heisman, for crying out loud. So, that's what it's all about. And he came back to BYU as an offensive coordinator and was doing that until 2 years ago. So, Ty did return to BYU, had some success, some struggles. And BYU is now with an offensive coordinator named Jeff Grimes. And Coach Grimes is in his 3rd year. Came out of LSU. He was the O-line coach and run game coordinator at LSU and is now in his 3rd year with BYU. And in Jeff's first year, some understandable struggles to kind of get things going, but they were a really solid red zone team. That was kind of their saving grace. Last year, coincidentally, they were better at other things and not so good in the red zone. In fact, they became a better offense overall, but much less efficient when it came time to score. So the hope is that year 1, with the red zone scoring, and year 2 with the overall productivity can kind of mesh here in year 3, and they can put the whole thing together.
Yeah, last year you guys were 7-6, and hey, not a good way. It's a good way to have some spend the holidays in Hawaii. Yeah, but it didn't come out the greatest thing for you guys. Playing in the Hawaii Bowl, but still, going out there for the holidays is not bad.
Yeah, it was the kind of game, though, you have to win. The numbers and then the trends and things that happened in that game really said that BYU should have finished it off. And they really were a 3rd down and 2 conversion away from locking that game down. Didn't happen. Lost it late, and not a great end to last season. They lost their last 2 games at San Diego State and at Hawaii, and both were winnable games. And I think BYU, finishing 7-6 says, well, man, we should have been at least 9-4. And then, you look at some other things that happened during the year, like losing at South Florida and losing at Toledo. Quarterback injuries had a role in both those games. A 7-6 season could have been a whole lot more with not a whole lot different going on or happening. It was a tight year that way.
Yeah. Is the folks there, the coaches, are they very happy that Malcolm Perry is in Miami right now as a Dolphin?
Yeah, he's really special, right? I mean, those are just remarkable numbers. And BYU recently had a guy that had similar tools, and they ran a different style of offense, of course. But Taysom Hill, who's now a New Orleans Saint, as you all know, was just that kind of guy, the playmaker. Could do as much running the football as throwing it. And of course, at Navy, Perry's not going to be asked to throw it a ton, but to put up those kind of numbers as a quarterback, just phenomenal. And Taysom Hill, to be playing in a throwing offense to run for as well, as many yards as he did, was quite a story as well. But it's a new look for Navy at quarterback. And I guess if you're going to get an option team, the conventional wisdom is gone. You want to get them early before they're kind of really firing, and I think, a lot of what Flexbone is repetition and rhythm and routine. And they really haven't had that yet. And Ken has talked about how it's been a unique training camp that way. It hasn't felt like maybe as much real football as they've been used to having due to COVID. And so you throw that into the fact that it's a new quarterback, maybe some new pieces in front on the O-line, and just trying to get into that Flexbone rhythm. If you've got to get Navy, I guess the opener may be as good a time as any to try your hand at them.
Yeah. Well, how good is Bradley Christensen? My research department was looking at some stuff for us today, and he's a junior offensive lineman for you guys. How good is he? Is he going to be one of those top picks in the 2021 draft next year?
Well, Brady Christensen is not somebody that had a lot of pub coming into BYU, but jumped into a starting role. I think, kind of unexpectedly became a starter as a freshman. And so the story there is not so much just Brady Christensen, but the fact that the center, two guys over, is a player named James Empey, and he's also started all 26 games of his BYU career. So there's two juniors who have not missed a game since starting as freshmen. And there are a lot of starts back on this BYU O-line. There aren't so many starts back on the Navy offensive line. And that's one area where BYU has an advantage right now. Quarterback reps and O-line reps right now favor the Cougars, and it takes more than that, but it's a factor to look at. And Christensen is a guy, along with Empey, who after his junior year might have some options at the next level. BYU fans hope both would stay for a senior year. And of course, this is actually a free year for everybody, right? We all know that even if a player plays, he can keep his year next year at the same eligibility. But all that being said, O-line is where BYU feels perhaps the most confidence this year. They start five guys with experience, but they have two guys backing up who've also made starts and a good number of starts in the past. So they feel 7 or 8 deep right now on the O-line. They're not as deep as they were a couple days ago at tight end, though, and that's an issue. Matt Bushman, who could have been on the verge of an All-America type season this year, is lost for the year with an injury he picked up in practice on Monday. So big blow. The Cougars' leading receiver the last 3 years will not play and is most likely play his last college down for BYU.
Yeah. How hard is it for BYU to be independent in these days? Because I know you guys were part of the WAC a couple of years ago, the last 10 years ago. Now you're independent for 10 years. Is it getting easier and easier for BYU to get teams to come to Utah, and say, hey, let's do a home and home series? It has been easier, or has it been more like a struggle? Like, hey, you want to go out to Utah and get the air, or do you want to come back, do a home and home thing? Has it been easier?
You probably meant the Mountain West, right? They were in the Mountain West for a number of years before going independent. Before that, it was the WAC, back when the WAC was the football league. But independence is the only reason BYU is playing a football game Monday night. If BYU was in a conference, they'd likely be shut out right now. So BYU's independence allows them to play. So as much as there have maybe been challenges associated with it, there are a lot of benefits and opportunities. And COVID kind of unveiled one in that they could actually go it alone. And they're the only team west of Texas playing football this fall. That's something. And it's because you're an independent. Now, all that said, yeah, there are challenges, but, Michigan State was coming to BYU this year. Missouri was coming to BYU this year. They play Utah every year. They were going to Arizona State. They were going to Stanford with return games. And so the ability to get home and homes and 2-for-1s, that's there because BYU is a name program. BYU is a big name program with the deal with ESPN. That's the thing. ESPN's a partner with BYU. ESPN gets almost every home game every year for BYU. So they've got ESPN working with them to help schedule really high-profile and marquee games. And this year's schedule is going to be as good as any until COVID hit. Again, all those P5 games going away, but it was loaded.
Yeah. We covered the ACC, and there's a guy down in Virginia, in Bronco Mendenhall. How cool was he as a coach there in BYU for years? I know he left to go to Virginia. I know a lot of people had some issues of him leaving. but he built that program there in Utah, right?
Well, Lavelle Edwards built the program to what people know it to be. And then there were a few down years after Lavelle. Bronco came in and kind of restored the luster. And I had 11 great seasons with Bronco Mendenhall. Before that, he was the DC at BYU. So he was here longer than that, but 11 years as head coach. And I really enjoyed every one of them. And Virginia fans know what they've got in Bronco Mendenhall. They've got not only a great football coach and a defensive mind, but a great leader of men, a great person and man. And, they could not be more fortunate to have him doing what he's doing. And I guess any successful coach who leaves a spot for somewhere else might have some grumblers when he leaves, but that's okay because he was good for BYU and he deserves to explore his next opportunity and took it at Virginia. So, I don't think there were, grudges being held or bitterness about it. I think there was understanding that he gave BYU 11 really good seasons as a head coach and brought BYU a lot of double-digit win years and notable campaigns and more power to him and taking that next step in his career. He's young, he's vibrant, he's an influencer in the football world, and I'm just a big fan.
Yeah. Folks, we have Greg Wrubell with us, who is the voice of the Cougars of BYU. They're going to make a trip all the way out here to Annapolis on Monday night, Labor Day night. What is the first thing you're going to do when you get to Maryland there, Greg? Are you going to get some crab cakes? Are you going to go bring some back home to Utah? What's the plan?
Yeah, seafood of some kind will be on the agenda upon our arrival. It's kind of a quick trip for us and the team. It's going to be Sunday in, Tuesday out. And so not a ton of time, but enough time to eat well and get onto the yard, hopefully, as they say, on Monday before the game. And I have been to Annapolis before, not for a game, but I have been to the Naval Academy and really enjoyed my last trip there and look forward to getting back again. One of the great things about independence is the fact that you can go almost anywhere and everywhere season to season. When you're in a league, you have your conference opponents. You'll be getting home and away every year, and you know where you're going. You have maybe one or two occasions to hit the road for something different, but every year, essentially every road trip can be something different for you. And so Navy's the latest example. And then following it up with Army, 12 days later, I'd never been to Army, West Point, and that's another treat. And so I've been able to check off a lot of great venues in the college football world over my years with the program, and I get to do two new ones here in the first two games of September.
That's awesome. And as part of your bucket list, you go, okay, Navy, Army, good. And then you have other ones you haven't seen before. So that's good. It's part of that's what being a broadcaster is. You get a chance to go to places that you never thought you imagined that you're going to be.
It's a great gig. It's a wonderful gig.
Exactly. I have one last question to ask you. I have an old brother who's a big Miami Hurricane fan. I know back in the early 90s, BYU played Miami there in Utah, and I think Miami lost there. I think it was the year when they came back from winning the national championship. Are we ever going to see a Miami BYU rematch from back in the 90s, or is that going to be like one of those down the road?
I haven't heard talk of it, but that was what kicked off Ty Detmer's Heisman campaign, right? That was the game, and Miami came into Provo as the preseason number one, and as you said, coming off that national championship, and then to lose that game, it launched Ty into the national stratosphere, and he just kept rolling and ended up winning the Heisman Trophy in large part because of how that kind of launched him. And he was such a blast to watch and set so many NCAA records. And then to have him come back to BYU later was also pretty cool for the program. But yeah, BYU Miami would be maybe it happens in a bowl game before it happens in a regular season matchup. Sometimes that's usually the way these things go down, is you get matched up with somebody. But ACC teams, great fun to play, and actually Virginia and Bronco are on the BYU schedule here in some seasons to come, and that'll be an intriguing matchup when that goes down.
That'd be cool. Well, folks, if you want to listen to BYU's broadcast of the football game on Monday night, if you have Sirius XM, it's 143, or if you have the BYU Sports radio app, or the BYU radio app. And also, you guys are also, if you're driving around the state of Utah, I don't know if anybody's watching me from the state of Utah. That was very nice of them. You could listen to you guys on KSL 1160 AM and 102.7 FM out there in beautiful Utah. Never been to Utah. Maybe one day I'll get there one day.
Well, I think once you get out here, you realize that it's one of the prettiest places in the country. I'm fortunate to live here. I'm from Canada originally, but I came down to go to school at BYU, and I've never left, and I've loved it.
Yeah. And I know you're a big Calgary Flames hockey fan because I was watching some videos get to know you today. So that's
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. For better or worse, I'm a Flames fan. It's been a grind. It's been tough the last decade plus to be a Flames fan, and they just they get in the playoffs and a couple things start going right, and then invariably things start to unravel as they did again this year against the Dallas Stars. But it was a fun run while it happened, and we'll be diehards forever.
hell, great. Well, Greg, thanks so much for coming on, and have a safe flight to BWI here in Maryland, and hopefully you guys have a great broadcast on Monday night.
Yeah, I enjoyed being with you, and I look forward to feeling and hearing what this new world of college football sounds like and looks like in my headset, and to viewers and listeners. The bottom line is we're playing games, and that's all you can hope for at this point, and that'll be special one way or another. And I really can't wait till Monday. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. My pleasure.
I see. That is Greg Wabell, who is the voice of the BYU Cougars. You're wondering where my partner is tonight. Uski, Ewan McCreef, he's under the weather this evening, but I'll be riding shotgun, doing the whole thing this evening. So let's bring in our good friend Marc Narducci with us, who covers the Temple Owls, and also he's a big Flyers. He covers the Flyers as well. First of all, we got to talk about the Flyers hockey, because I'm an Islanders fan. Tough game last night for me. Good game for you. So how's everything in Philadelphia?
It's good. It's going well, Chris. A lot of excitement over the Flyers. They I think exceeded expectations in the regular season. They were doing well in the postseason until they met up with the Islanders. But the way they came back, they blew a 2-goal lead. Then they had to go to overtime. Then they get the overtime goal. So the pressure's still on them. They're down 3-2. They're facing elimination, but they got a big night from Claude Giroux, their captain, and that was definitely needed.
Yeah. So do you like playing in this bubble? I think it's pretty cool that everybody's in one city for the East and the other one is in the West. And I guess for the Stanley Cup, they're going to meet somewhere in the middle, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I think they're going to move it to Edmonton after the conference the semifinals, which is the other bubble. I actually cover the Sixers more than the Flyers. I'm just filling in for the Flyers, but the Sixers were in a good bubble, and that has worked out very well in Orlando.
Yeah, I think the NBA and the NHL should give Major League Baseball a tip, because you're having problems with that virus all the time. You hear Oakland having problems, the Mets had a problem. I think they didn't do their homework.
Well, again, they're in a bubble, and they've been able to contain it there. I mean, football may be finding out some of this too. So we're going to see. I mean, I'm glad we're going to see a college football season at least begin. The NFL's starting in about another week or so, the opener. So that's good. But the NHL and the NBA, indoor sports with fewer players, they have a little bit of an advantage, but they've both done a tremendous job during this.
Yeah. Well, Marc, we have you on the air because I know you cover Temple as well. So Temple's going to be off for the next 2 weeks until they play Navy, right?
Well,
they play Navy, right?
They're supposed to open, Chris, on the 26th against Navy. One of the problems is, and I wrote about this the other day in the Philadelphia Inquirer, is that they have not. The city of Philadelphia is still not letting them have contact in practice. And if they finally decided to do 10 scrimmage plays the other day, just because they said they have to get ready in case they play Navy. Now, one thing, Navy and Temple have an off day both on October 10th, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility they play that day. But if they're going to open on the 26th, they have to hope that they can start hitting soon, because they're not in football shape right now.
And is that hard with different like Philadelphia, like you said, Philadelphia and the city has different rules. Like you got the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania said go ahead, you got stage 3, stage 4, but the cities are all having their own different rules. Is that difficult for a coach like Coach Carey to get something going?
Oh, there's no question about it. Now, people are going to say, Chris, well, the Eagles are hitting. They're able to do whatever they want in practice, and they're in Philadelphia. I personally believe the difference is Temple's testing once a week at this point. The Eagles and the NFL teams are testing every day. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's I'm glad they're actually testing. I think like I was reading. We covered the ACC. They're doing 3 tests per week. I think that's a smart idea. I think you may want to do 4 of them just in case.
Well, I think the AAC where Temple plays, I think that they're going to be doing. I think they're going to be doing 2 once the season starts, but they've been doing 1 right now. The whole key is getting the expenses down. You know, the NBA and Yale University have collaborated on a project of a saliva test, which would be a lot cheaper for people, and I think it would enable more tests to be done. So it's going to be interesting how that turns out.
Yeah. Well, you've been covering sports for a long time. Back in March when everything shut down, did you think at that time we would be talking football or baseball, or you think it's going to be one? Did you think it's going to be a year of completely nothing?
I thought in the beginning that maybe they could come back quickly, and especially when things were bright a little bit early on, end of May, June, but. Then I started wondering if we were going to have seasons, especially college football, where you just have so many things with travel and there's no bubble and things like that. So I think anybody feels fortunate. I would be very happy if Temple is playing that game on September 26th at Navy. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Where were you on that day? On March 11th, I was getting ready to go to Indianapolis for a basketball tournament, and the night before, my brother called me and said, a Utah Jazz guy just tested positive for his coronavirus. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm staying home. So where were you on that day? Did you decide to do the same thing?
No, March 11th, I was at the Wells Fargo Center because the 76ers were playing the Detroit Pistons. And as you know, later on, one of the Pistons, Christian Wood, tested positive a couple of days after Rudy Gobert. So that's where I was. And for a while, Chris, I was wondering, gee, I really wanted to get tested. And I wasn't able to get tested in those early stages because they said, you don't have the symptoms. You know, you need a doctor's note to get tested. Since then, I've tested a couple times, and it's been okay. But that's where I was. It was one of the most surreal nights. I remember Brett Brown and Eldon Brand came out for a press conference, and they answered 3 questions. It was as somber a setting as I've seen in a sports arena.
Yeah, I realized a week before that, prior, my buddy and I went down to cover the CAA. You know, I know you have Drexel there in Philadelphia, and I found out like 2 days, like a week later, after the championship game was over, the CAA sent out this email saying one of the officials has COVID, and I'm like, what day was it? And it was on the Saturday when we went down there, and I'm like, I started thinking, you know, I hope we didn't run into that guy. You know, like, I started playing, trying to paint a picture of who this guy is. And my girlfriend has a bad immune system. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to get her sick. You know, it was scary back there in the beginning.
Yeah, it really was. And just so unsettling. And it's interesting. Since March 11th, I have not been out to an event.
Me either. I've been sitting on my computer. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the one day. Yeah, hopefully in September I can go see a college football game. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Well, if Temple opens in Navy, I'll be there. And your guest before that was talking about going to Navy. It is a great site for a game. Temple was just there for the Military Bowl last season, where they got trounced by a very good North Carolina team.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Mac Brown, back in North Carolina, that's pretty interesting. The second year there in North Carolina. I was doing some more research about Temple because I know you cover Temple. Davis, the 5'9", 110-pound sophomore running back. How good is he going into his junior year?
Well, actually, he's only a true sophomore, Chris. Ramon Davis, he's not very big. He's about 5'9", about 200 pounds, but he's very good. He can get outside. He's a tough kid. He can run inside. And the key to him, especially someone his size, he got a little nicked up late in the season, is durability. But he's a very good threat. And I think they ought to use him more in the passing game this year. I don't think they utilize him enough, and I think they will use him more that way.
Yeah. What type of quarterback is Anthony Russo? Because I did some research on him, and he seems like he's a senior, and senior leadership. That's what Temple needed. And I think last year, I think it worked well against Maryland, right? Did he do a good job against Maryland when Maryland came up there with that 2-game winning streak and just plowed through Syracuse?
Right. The key with it with Anthony is last year statistically he was better than his sophomore year. He had and there's a good look at him. He had 21 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, but he threw a couple pick sixes and he made some ill-advised throws. He's got to be more consistent in that. But I'll tell you what, Chris, he's 6'4", he's about 230. He's actually coming in a little trimmer this year. And he's got an NFL arm. His arm's as good as just about anybody in college football. He was originally a Rutgers commit, and then he decommitted. He went to Temple. He came in for an injury. Frank Newtile was a starter, got hurt, and he never relinquished the job. So yeah, this will be his third year there. And he just said the other day, because of the new NCAA rule, he plans on coming back next year. Because he'll have another year, and he's a graduate student already.
Oh wow, that's great. So yeah, so you could graduate and still come back for another 2 years. That's great. That's awesome. I think it's great for anybody to get their stock value better in the draft.
Right. Well, like I said, he has an NFL arm. That's not the question. The question now is going to be making headier plays, and also he said he lost some weight because he's going to try to run a little bit more, because when he was in the pocket, the offense was a little more predictable last year. So I think he's going to be good. I think he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the American Athletic Conference, and they have a bunch of them.
Exactly. Well, Mark, thanks so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate you being flexible. Last week we had a lot of people on because we had stuff that came through, but I appreciate you making some time tonight, and good luck, and I hope you enjoy the games this weekend with Navy and BYU, and hopefully we'll see some Temple games at the end of the month.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
All right, folks. That's Marc Narducci, who covers the Temple and does also the Flyers and stuff as well. Yeah, so we will be, that's a good interview there, folks. So let's give you some scores here in the Major League Baseball. And I think we have a score update. Yeah, it looks like the Mets won 9-4 over the Baltimore Orioles. That's a final. I know I'm going to probably have people sending me messages here on the program. Coming up at 7:30, we should have our good friend Don Munson joining us, who covers. He's the voice of the Clemson Tigers, who are basically the team of the decade right now here in 2020. What a ride they've been running. They've been doing with Trevor Lawrence and everybody else. They open up next week at Wake Forest. Speaking of Wake, next week we are doing a poll on Twitter, on our Twitter page. We need some help. We're trying to figure out what games should we cover next week on our show, next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So go to HerpFM on Twitter and go down and find our polling question. What game would you like us to talk about on next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock? First week of ACC football, so that'll be great. See the scoreboard down there: Mets 9, Orioles 4, and the Nationals and Phillies are getting underway right now. So. And also, I gotta get a shout out to Michael Cavorto, who a good Met player here today. He did a great job this afternoon against the Orioles. Hit a 2-run homer against the Birds and drew in 4 RBIs against the Birds. So that series is tied 1 game apiece, and game 2, 3, and 4 will be in Citi Field in a week or so. So hopefully hopefully the Mets could get on board there. So. Speaking of getting on board, let's get our good friend Bill Wagner on, who covers the Navy football. Bill, how's everything going? And we got to say, thank God we got football coming.
Good to see you, Chris. Yes, thank God we got a football game coming. Cannot wait, brother.
I didn't think I was ever going to get there. Back in March and April, I thought it was going to be one of those, we dream about playing and never going to happen. But on Monday night, it's going to be on ESPN with nobody in the crowd except for you and everybody else in the press box. So how weird is that going to be for you covering a game?
You know what? I don't even know what to expect, and it's going to be a lot less in the press box than usual. I think they're going 50% capacity to stay within Maryland guidelines, and then I can't even imagine being at a Navy football game without a huge crowd there. I mean, it's usually 35,000 or in that range. I mean, they always have a great crowd, and what makes Navy football so unique, Chris, is that all the spectacle of it, the brigade march on, the flyover of fighter jets, parachutists jumping into the stadium. There'll be none of that. There's no brigades not going to be able to attend, which was a real disappointment. The Navy Athletic Department thought that they could get a waiver from the state of Maryland to at least allow the Brigade of Midshipmen to be in attendance and have, just some sort of audience. So it's going to be bizarre. I mean, I dare say if we opened the windows of the press box, we could hear Coach Niumatalolo yelling instructions at quarterback Dalen Morris.
Yeah, or you might hear Kurt Herbie screaming something in the other booth.
That's right.
Hey, Kurt, calm down, buddy. Yeah, but anyway, this is the first time you guys have been playing on Monday on a night game there since 2005 against Stanford. That's a long time ago. Why no night games there at the stadium? Because of the neighbors around there, or why?
Well, I think it's more the way that Navy likes to have their game day experience. There's so much that happens as part of a Navy football game. There's always big class reunions. Tailgating is a major part of it. It's a real social event, especially for the alumni. And so they had determined that 3:30 was the best time to start their games. And when they came up with their deal with CBS Sports Network, broadcasts most of the Navy home games.
Right.
And so Naval Academy Athletic Association kind of negotiated with CBS Sports Network to have their home games all start at 3:30. So that's why it's whenever there's a situation where the network can come in and have the rights to the game, then Navy is willing to change the game times to suit the network. So we have had on rare occasions like a noon game because the network wanted it earlier. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be very, very strange. I can't remember the last game. You mentioned Stanford. I don't know that I remember that game, but yeah, it's been a long time since they played at night, and I know they've never played on a Monday night. That I can be sure of, at least not during the time I've been covering Navy football.
Yeah. Well, I was doing also some research. Navy's 11-1 in home openers, and their only loss was to 2014 against Rutgers. Rutgers was so bad in the Big Ten. It's like, what happened to that game? That's my question. Yeah.
Right. Well, Rutgers did go through a good period, right, with Schiano. Greg Schiano was the coach, and there was a couple times that Navy lost to Rutgers, but no, they win at home, and it's not just home openers; it's at home. Period. If you go look at the home record over this period of success during the triple option era, you'll see the home record is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. Well, with UConn leaving the conference, and then now you got down to 11 teams, who is the sleepers in this conference in the AAC? Who's going to be besides Navy? We know Navy did well last year, won a bowl game against Kansas State, but are they the dark horse to win it, or are they going to be the favorites, or what's going on?
Well, it's interesting. They just came out with the American Athletic Conference official preseason rankings, or if you want to be predictions, we should say. And Navy was picked 5th in the conference. Last year, Navy was technically they tied for the West Division championship, but they lost the tiebreaker, obviously, to Memphis because Memphis won the head-to-head matchup. Navy's always kind of underestimated. They look and see that Malcolm Perry graduated and just presume the offense isn't going to be as good. We know that Navy somehow, some way always finds a good offense. But Memphis obviously is the defending champion. However, they lost their coach. Mike Norvell went to Florida State. So they're, you never know what's going to happen under a new coach. But personnel-wise, Memphis is, their program is very solid. They've been recruiting at a high level and had a lot of success. So they've got good personnel. And, of course, on the other side, Cincinnati, and I'll mention that Cincinnati was the East Division champion, lost to Memphis in the AAC championship game, but there are no longer divisions. That was one of the byproducts of Connecticut leaving. There's not 6 and 6 anymore. There's only 11 teams. So they no longer have East and West divisions. It's all one conference. But obviously Cincinnati, a very, very strong program. Luke Fickell has done a tremendous job as head coach, really built that program up. And then I think a lot of people are looking at Houston as having a bounce back season. It was weird. Houston lost 2 or 3 games early and had like 14 players decide to redshirt. It was bizarre,
Right.
and including some of their best players. Now their quarterback, De'Aaron King, transferred, but Houston's got a lot of talent kind of coming back after taking a year off. So I think a lot of people think Houston's the team that's going to make the big jump.
Yeah, I think King went to Miami, so Miami has a new quarterback, so that's going to be interesting seeing King going to be the quarterback down there in South Florida.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah. So it's going to be a weird year of college football because you got these tests. Like I heard the AAC. I know Philadelphia. We had Marc on from Temple. The city of Philadelphia is not letting anybody hit anybody, but you got the Eagles playing practice down the street and still hitting people with pads. So it's weird with different rules in different areas. So I guess we're going to see what Monday brings, and I guess what does Navy got to do after Monday? Do they test the players right after the game, or do they have to wait 72 hours to get tested?
I don't know the timing, but basically they do test them coming out of the game. So
Okay.
I believe they got tested either today or tomorrow for the game. Not sure because it's a Monday game, the timing's off. But I think the plan is if it was a normal Saturday game, you would be tested on like Thursday.
Okay.
And then you would be tested after the game, either Sunday morning first thing or probably not right after the game, probably Sunday morning. I think you want to wait a little bit of time after the game because there's that incubation period. So testing like an hour after the game doesn't make sense. But yeah, there's going to be testing going in and out of games, and they'll know each week where they stand.
Yeah. Is it the same thing for you guys being in the media? Do you guys get tested before the game or after the game?
Well, they're not asking us to test, and since the pandemic started, I have covered some events where they wanted us to provide a negative test in order to attend. But what Navy's doing is they're going to take our temperature as we enter the stadium, and basically the way we're in the press box, because it's 50% reduction in people up there, there's going to be social distancing. So supposedly we're not going to be close to anyone else, but we will all be in a press box. And I dare say that if somebody does have the virus, there's a chance we could get it. So I kind of sense I'm going to want to test myself after each game if I'm sitting in a press box with a bunch of people I don't know what their situation is. So from a personal standpoint, I think I probably will be getting tested the week after I cover Navy home games.
Yeah. Folks, we're here with Bill Wagner, who covers Navy for the Capital Gazette. Did you not kicked out of your building, but I heard they shut your building down in Annapolis. Is that true?
Yeah, it's really, really disappointing. I have to say, the Tribune Company is the owner of the Baltimore Sun Media Group, which is quite a number of newspapers, the Carroll County Times, the Aegis and Harford County, the Howard County Times. They own a lot of community newspapers, and they have shut down the offices of those community newspapers. We no longer have a physical newsroom, which, as a 31-year veteran of the journalism business, I can't even imagine. It's just, you have young journalists that need a newsroom. They need that environment. They need to interact with their fellow reporters. They need to interact with the editors. They need to interact with older reporters, been around for mentorship. So there's just so many things about a newsroom that are important. And then, of course, the public. I mean, you're serving a public. And, I remember at the old building of the Capitol that we had for years off of West Street, which is a full-service newsroom or full-service newspaper office. We had a circulation department, an advertising department, accounting department, executive offices, the newsroom. we printed our own newspaper. So we had a printing press and a press room and a whole group of press employees. So we had people come all the time. We constantly had visitors. There would be people that came in to do interviews in person at the newsroom. We'd have, if politicians were running for office, we'd bring them in for interviews. So there's just so many things that happen at a newsroom. And so I just think it's a horrible decision done solely to save money and with no thought to what the impact's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of far-reaching, long-lasting negative impacts from this decision.
Yeah. So what do you do when after you're done with your article? You just email it to somebody and you just pray it comes in the paper, or?
Well, we have a system. Everything gets filed into a production system that everyone that has access, and then we obviously communicate through a Slack network, is what it's called,
Okay.
a message system. And so I'm always in constant contact with my editor, and I let him know when a story's been filed, and then he lets me know when it's been edited and posted. And so we communicate, but it's just a different type of communication, and you cannot ever replace face-to-face, in-person communication and contact, in my opinion.
Exactly. Well, one last question to ask you about Navy football. The running back Jamal Gaithers, Carthers, I guess I said it wrong. How good is he as a running back? Is he going to be used in the beginning because of the new quarterback, just to get the quarterback to feel a little bit ready to go and more feeling relaxed under center?
Right. Well, actually, it's pronounced Jamel Carruthers, and
Okay.
he was a very good one. He burst onto the scene as a sophomore and had one heck of a season. And I do believe he becomes the primary weapon with Malcolm Perry graduating and now playing with the Miami Dolphins. Carruthers is the guy that was the most productive runner last year. So you got to figure they're going to lean on him, especially early as they break in a new quarterback. So, I think you got to look at Jamel Carruthers as the Navy's top offensive weapon. I do also think Navy's going to throw the ball a little more. Dalen Morris, the new quarterback, is a very solid passer. It's just natural for him. He kind of looks like the part of a drop back quarterback and throws a nice ball. And they've got some weapons in the passing game. Michael Cooper and Ryan Mitchell are two very talented wide receivers, returning starters who were productive last season. And I just have a sense that they may throw the ball a bit more this season to play to the strengths of Dalen Morris, the quarterback.
Exactly. Well, Bill, I hope you enjoy the game on Monday night. Hopefully we have great weather, and I know it's going to be a bunch of crickets around there trying to get the seats, or whatever, a cougar or whatever showing up. But it's going to be fun to be having the only game in the state of Maryland spotlight on ESPN, because you don't have Maryland football, you don't have Morgan State, you don't have Towson, you don't have anybody else around. Navy's the only Maryland sport playing.
Yeah, kind of bizarre. I mean, again, strangest year I've ever been a part of, and it's going to go to new levels when Navy, they used to, the next day in the paper, you're reading about the Maryland game and Towson and all the other colleges around the area, how they did. And you're right, Navy's the only game in town.
Exactly. Well, enjoy and have fun, and we'll talk to you throughout the rest of the season.
All right, thanks a lot. Good being with you.
That's Bill Wagner, who covers Navy football for the Capital Gazette. Good writer. It's kind of sad what they do to him now with the closing the building and doing everything by virtually by the computer and all that stuff. Really, really irritating. Coming up at 7:45 in a minute or so, we got Don Munson joining us, the voice of the Clemson Tigers. But in the meantime, I do like to send out a. I think I get. Hold on here. I did not get. Gotta find this first, folks. Hold on. Today is a very special birthday for my one of my family members. My niece is 4 years old, Sophia, and I'm trying to find a good picture I had. I took a picture of her today. This is what you get to try to make sure you got everybody on the call. So let's see here. We are in. Trying to find it. Where is it? Right here. Anyway, we want to say happy birthday to her. She is 4 years old, and she loves her uncle really much. So anyway, let me bring that up to her on the call here. Sophia is 4 years old today. Happy birthday! Hope you're enjoying your birthday with my brother, with your dad and your mom, and everybody will be there Saturday for your big party you're gonna have. So hopefully you enjoy that. We'll get that picture to you later. How cute she is! So she is 4 years old today. So we're very pleased here in the Heidel house here. We're waiting for Don Munson to give us a buzz. Let's just look at the schedule for the ACC next week. We'll bring it up. Schedule next week: Syracuse at North Carolina. Clemson is rolling into Wake Forest. And the last time Clemson went to Wake Forest, I think they put a 50 spot on them. And then Georgia Tech and Florida State on Saturday. And then Thursday night, Alabama and Birmingham going down to South Florida to take on the Miami Hurricanes, the new look Miami Hurricanes. So that's a good thing going on here. Yeah, so we'll try to find. I had something nice for my cousin, for my niece, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, we're waiting for Don Munson to join us, and coming up at 8:00 on the program, we have Mitch Harper, who covers BYU. He does a lot of podcasts for the Cougars. We'll talk a little more about BYU with him. Greg Wendell joined us earlier tonight at 7:00. If you're wondering where my broadcast partner is, Uski, McCreef, he is on the DL this evening. He's not feeling well. He doesn't have the COVID or anything. He's just not feeling well, but he will be back next Wednesday night, hopefully perky and ready to roll, because we got first week of ACC football coming up next week on the program here. So, and speaking of that, next week we need your help here, folks. If you want to go to our Twitter page, let's bring that up for you. Week 1 of the 2020 ACC football schedule starts next Saturday, September 12th. And which games do you want Uski and Herbie to do the whole show about on September 9th? So go to Herb FM on Twitter and vote for the games the game that you want us to cover. So we'll be glad to do that as well. So we're waiting for Don Munson to join us. Don said he is all set, but he's a very busy man down there in Clemson, South Carolina. So let's give you the scoreboard real quick. Bring that up. The Mets won 9-4 over the Orioles today, and Phillies and Nationals are playing in Philadelphia as we speak. So we're going to find out if they're winning or not. So so back to BYU and Navy. This is the third time they're playing each other. The first time they played each other, you have to go back to 1978 to the Holiday Bowl, and Navy won 23-16 over BYU there in San Diego. So that was really an interesting game back in the 70s. So and then we talked about 1989 earlier with Ty Demper, playing against because it's December 28th. Here you go. I forgot to put this on here. Navy quarterback Bob Saskowski threw a 65-yard pass in the fourth quarter touchdown to beat BYU. That's how BYU lost to Navy 23-16. So, folks, if you're in, we hear some thunder around the studio here. So it's 7:50 Eastern time here on Herbertown Sports Radio, and let's give you the scoreboard update here and other games going on. Let's see here. We got the scoreboard coming up here. So at the end of 4 innings of play, it's the Reds and Cardinals tied at 1. Top of the 5th down in Miami, no score between the Marlins and the Blue Jays. Bottom of the first, 4-0 Rays over the Yankees. Yankees at the bat. Come out at the bat. They have runners at first and second with 2 outs. Top of the third, no score in Philadelphia between Phillies and Nationals. And then rain delay, top of the first in Pittsburgh between the Pirates and Cubs are in a rain delay. And bottom of the first in Boston, the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead over the Atlanta Braves. And at the top of the first, the Brewers are home against the Detroit Tigers, an old AL East squad playing each other in an interleague game. Tigers have a 1-0 lead. And then the finals from this afternoon, Rockies beating the Giants 9-6. And the Mets beat the Orioles by a score of 9-4. And then coming up at 8 o'clock, Indians, Royals, Rangers, Astros playing at Minute Maid Park in Houston, 91 degrees. Twins and White Sox in Minneapolis, 78 degrees for the play. Padres and Angels down there in Anaheim, 86 degrees. And then Dodgers and D-backs in Dodger Stadium, 74 degrees. A game time at 9:40 tonight. And one game got postponed due to the COVID, the Athletics and Mariners, because of the Athletics having issues. So it's we're waiting for somebody to log in here on Herbie Sports Radio. Let's give you some scores in the NBA. At the half, the Heat have a 66-60 over Milwaukee. And at 9 o'clock tonight, OKC, Oklahoma City, taking on Houston in a game 7. So that's going to be a very interesting game there. Another game 7. They had one last night with the Nuggets winning. So, folks, if you are listening to us, thanks for tuning us in. The show is now live right on herbertfansportsradio.weebly.com and also on Facebook right now as we speak. Sports Radio at herbertfan/live. So we're waiting for, I think Don probably got hung up, but we'll get him on hopefully next week or somebody from Clemson because they'll be taking on Wake Forest next week. Wake Forest. Let's give you the other schedules in college in the ACC football. Okay, let's see here. We're going to bring this up. All right, so Saturday, September 12th, you got Syracuse at North Carolina, Duke at Notre Dame at 2:30 on NBC. The 3:30 game on ABC is Georgia Tech taking on Florida State. Austin Peay traveling to Pittsburgh at 4 o'clock. Clemson at Wake Forest, 7:30 on ABC, and Western Kentucky at Louisville, 8 p.m. on the ACC network. And then on Saturday, September 19th, you got a lot of games scheduled. They don't know, the decision will be made on September 12th. Noon on the ACC network, you got Syracuse at Pitt, Boston College at Duke at noon. And then Notre Dame playing South Florida on the USA network, because I guess they have the one of the derbies going. Central Florida at Georgia Tech at 3:30. Charlotte at North Carolina at 3:30. That's on the Regional Sports Network. And then you got the Commonwealth Cup playing each other earlier this year for the first time since 1970. Virginia at Virginia Tech, 3:30 or 7:30 on ABC. And then Miami at Louisville, maybe 3:30 or 7:30 on ABC. And then Clemson taking on Citadel on September 19th at 4 o'clock on the ACC network. And then Wake Forest and NC State opening up the season at home against Wake Forest at 8 o'clock on the ACC network. So, folks, thanks for tuning us in. Lights are flickering. We might be losing power. Just want to let you all know that. So, we might be losing soon, but we're hoping to keep it going here. Clemson is actually limiting their attendance for games this year to 19,000 fans only. So that's going to be a very interesting season down there. They hold 80,000 people there in Death Valley. And Trevor Lawrence, folks, here's a stat I found, is 25-1 in 2 seasons as a quarterback of the Tigers. I think Ken Dorsey was 38-2 in 4 seasons at Miami. So that's very interesting. So let's take a look at the forecast. See where this storm is. So somebody forgot to come on the program. That's the radar. So that's good. So we're still waiting for Mitch Harper to join us here on the program. My partner in crime, Uski, is Ewan McCreef. He's down in our Charlotte office. He's not feeling well this evening, so we're hoping best wishes to him to get well. Hope you folks could send him messages on his Facebook page. Ewan McCreef. Hopefully he's feeling better. So folks, thanks for tuning us in here on Herb FM on StreamYard.com here. Been a very nice evening of football. Talk about football here. We're hopefully waiting for somebody to log in here. So, in the meantime, we're going to just wait until we'll get somebody to tune in here. We're going to play some music. So in the meantime, we'll play some Lay Down Sally from Ratcliffe. Well, folks, we're still waiting for Harper to join us. It's 8 o'clock Eastern Time here on Herbie FM Sports Radio here on Webley.com, and we're working on it. So we'll be on next week. Next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We'll get you into some college football mode, some big games in the ACC, and we'll get that as well. Also, we want to preview a new show that we're going to be working on during the season called the ACC Scoreboard. We'll be joining you every Saturday night and recapping the games in your area from the ACC. So anyway, let me bring up the photograph here. So let me put my, get myself off the air here. Hold on. She is 4 years old today, so happy birthday, Sophia. We're having a good time here on the program, so she's having a great time. She loves, very enthusiastic little girl, yeah. Very good personality. So anyway, we'll give Mitch a couple more minutes, and if not, we're going to say goodnight, y'all. She's 4 years old today here on the program. So, folks, we'll be back on next week at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, if you want to vote for which ACC game you want us to cover next week here on the program, you can always go on there and do that as well. Yeah, so you can go on there and give us what you want us to cover next week. You got Notre Dame and Duke. You got Florida State at Georgia Tech. And you got Miami at UAB on Thursday night on the ACC network. So, well, we're going to probably wrap this up because I guess people forgot to log in. Now, let me see if he remembered to. So send them a message. So yeah, go on our Twitter page, HerbFM, at HerbFM on Twitter, and send us a message. So we're gonna hit the road soon here. Let's give you the scoreboard for. I think Phillies and Nationals are scoreless. So, yep, we're going to say goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning us in tonight here on the program. See us next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock right here on Herman Sports Radio. You can listen to the show right now. You can visit us or tweet us anytime you want at HerbFM. So, at the meantime, have a great rest of your week. Happy Labor Day to everybody. Hopefully you all have a great Labor Day weekend. And now, I'm Chris Heidel. In the meantime, let's rock out to some. Let's see here. Yeah. So, folks, thanks for tuning us in. Have a great rest of your evening. And stay safe out there, folks. There's thunderstorms all around, so be careful. Have a great night, everybody.
street life. And let me show you the things, the pops, the jets, the junk. Stay close to me for a while, for a while, for a while.
Okay, hold on a second.
Oh, you get to the street life.
All right. We got one more person on here. We didn't log off yet, so we were waiting for Mitch to come on. So, Mitch, thanks for joining us. How's everything out there in Utah?
It's going good. It's an exciting time right now with college football season getting ready, and BYU fans out here are really excited for the opportunity to actually play some football out here in the West, the only team to do so. So exciting times right now.
Yeah, that's really unheard of. You know, you got USC, you got UCLA, you got everybody, and then nobody else is playing except for BYU. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. And how it worked out with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference sidelining their seasons. BYU, it worked out being an independent. So it's a unique situation, no doubt.
Yes. Folks, we got Mitch Harper on the program. He does a lot with BYU. He does a lot of podcasts with BYU, football, sports in general. You know, I know I say goodnight to everybody, but, you know, Mitch made it in, so it's all good. So Mitch, are you making the flight to Annapolis?
I am. I'll be flying out on Friday, and I'll be there throughout the weekend doing some radio shows and local and TV for a local affiliate here in Salt Lake, KSL TV. So I'll be a busy guy and one of the lucky few to actually be in the stadium coming up on Monday night.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about that experience you're going to have. You're going to fly. Are you a little nervous about with the whole protocols on the planes now? Because back before this whole thing, it was just get rid of the fat guy in the middle.
Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, I haven't really done much traveling outside the state of Utah since last March. I remember, the week when everything shut down, I was down there in Vegas for all the college basketball tournaments, and I kind of saw the last little bit of live sports in the college world. And now I'm going to be making a trip for the first time since then. But I'm excited. I think this is a good thing that college football is taking place this fall, and just grateful to be part of an organization that allowed me to send me out there.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at some stats. BYU is 15-5 in the last 20 plus seasons on season openers. That's pretty good. 15-5. No one gives them credit for that.
It's really good. And the thing is, too, within those 20 season openers, BYU's played a lot of games against Power 5 teams. So the Cougars, as an independent, they are always wanting to schedule up and play great matchups to open up a season. And, even though Navy's not a Power 5 team, I think getting this matchup on the fly, Navy loses the Notre Dame game, BYU loses Utah. This is a really sweet matchup, and it's definitely the best one of week one. But yeah, BYU has had a tendency to always produce some really good season opening games, and I think this one's going to be no different.
Yeah. I think it's really – I didn't know BYU was playing Navy until a couple of weeks ago when I was wondering about Notre Dame and Navy, because I heard Notre Dame moved the whole thing from Ireland to, go down to Annapolis, and Navy was going to be the home team, and having Navy and Notre Dame playing in Annapolis, it's like I call that a traffic nightmare. But now there's nobody going to be there. You're probably going to be easy to get out of there real quick.
Yeah, and the thing is too is I don't think really anyone knew that this game was going to happen until a few weeks ago. I mean, this game came together in a matter of about 18 hours. One night, BYU's head coach was told, "Hey," by the athletic director, "Hey, we might be playing Navy coming up to open week one," and then about 12 or so hours later, the game got done. So, yeah, this thing happened in a hurry, and I think for both teams, it's a really great opportunity to get a ton of television exposure and really showcase these two programs that seem to be teams that I think could have some really successful years in 2020.
And also having College Game Day there on Friday over the weekend. They're not doing any media availability, I guess, because I talked to Bill, one of the folks there at ESPN. I guess they're going to keep everything in-house or on Zoom calls or whatever, but still having College Game Day, even there with a quiet stadium, that's still a good idea.
Yeah, having Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, I think it just highlights the game, the stage that these two teams are going to take, and to not have any fans in the stands will be interesting. I'm very curious to see that in person, to see what type of impact that does have on a game. Now I think players and coaches have said all the right things, saying that that's not going to have any bearing on the outcome. But I mean, it's going to have a little bit of a scrimmage feel, I would say, to the game. But between the lines, I think that these teams got to be dialed in.
Exactly. Well, just real quick, yeah, like you said, you're the only game in the western part of the west of the Mississippi. This is the only game in the state of Maryland. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's it's fascinating that what this college football season is going to look like in 2020, and I think that for BYU and Navy to square off, I just think that I think Ken Niumatalolo put it best. I think it's just a way to show America, the country, that we can all move forward as a society, and having college football back brings back a little bit of normalcy, even though it's going to feel different. I think that it still just brings a touch of normalcy that we desperately need in these unique times.
Exactly. Well, Mitch, I want to cut you short. We have a big thunderstorm outside coming through our area, and I don't want to lose power, but I want to thank you for coming on, and hopefully we get you on next week. Maybe next Wednesday night we'll dissect this game on Monday and see what went wrong for BYU, what went right for BYU.
Absolutely. Just let me know.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on, folks. Thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks for Bill Wagner for joining us from the Capital Gazette, plus your broadcaster, Greg Swinbell. We had him on it earlier in the show. Thanks for him making some time. And Mitch, thanks you so much, and safe trips to Annapolis.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate the time, and looking forward to being out in Annapolis for the first time ever. So I'm excited.
All right, cool, man. Folks, thanks for tuning us in tonight here on the program. We will see you all next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. I got to get off before the power goes out because I ran out of money in the meter. So have a great evening, everybody, and happy birthday, Sophia.